Kevin Carter, you launched the EMQQ Emerging Markets Internet and E-commerce ETF last November. So far this year, it's up 15%. So what's in this ETF and why should an investor want to own it?
Sure, Greg. EMQQ is, as you said, an emerging markets internet and e-commerce index. So it owns companies like Baidu, like Alibaba, a whole host of companies that are benefiting from the growth of consumption, but also benefiting from the spread of mobile broadband and falling smartphone prices.
And one stock in this particular fund is 58.com. It's a good representation of the fund. Stock's up around 90% so far this year. People say it's like a Chinese local marketplace. It's
Sure.
huge over there.
Yeah.
So tell me about this company and why it's such a smart choice for the fund.
Well, 58.com, WUBA, which is a ticker symbol, trades on the New York Stock Exchange. Like a lot of these companies, they choose to list here because they're backed by U.S. venture capital, and our exchanges have the highest listing standards. So WUBA is basically the Craigslist of China. There's a lot of businesses that you can call the Craigslist of this or the eBay of that, but this really is best thought of as the Craigslist of China. And like here, it's a very high margin business. I've never seen or I've seen very few businesses with as high a margin as WUBA, which has a 93% gross margin, which is pretty hard to do for any company.
Well, a lot of people call Mercadolibre the Amazon of Latin America. It's having a good year, not as good as WUBA, but it's still up around 12 or 13% year to date. Tell me about this one, why it's such a strong player for this particular portfolio.
Sure. Well, Mercadolibre is the Amazon or eBay or PayPal, or really all three of those combined. And it serves not just Argentina, its home country, but it also serves Brazil, Ecuador, really all Latin America, including frontier markets like Ecuador, Nicaragua, et cetera. And so it's a good example of frontier market exposure you get through these companies. And the other thing about Mercadolibre is, you know, there's a lot of question about corporate governance in emerging markets. There's a lot of state-owned enterprises with government officials involved. If you follow Petrobras in the paper, you know that's a big problem, and that's a big part of the index. It's about 30% of the big ETFs. Mercadolibre was founded by a Stanford grad student. There's a Stanford Nobel Prize-winning economist on the board of directors, and it's 20% owned by eBay. So you get better corporate governance, I think, with these e-commerce companies in emerging markets than you do with the big holdings, the oil companies, the banks, et cetera.
And then finally, there's a South African company in the portfolio that's actually new to me. I've never heard it, and I've been doing this over a decade. Naspers. Tell me about this one.
Sure. Naspers is a fascinating company. Naspers is a South African newspaper company. It's a 100-year-old apartheid newspaper. And like most newspapers in the world, that's not a very good business anymore. But what Naspers did quite brilliantly was about 12 years ago started investing its profits in e-commerce. And one of those investments, its largest investment, was in a company called Tencent. Now, many people may not know Tencent, but Tencent is now the top holding in most emerging market ETFs. Tencent is sort of like Alibaba, sort of like Baidu. It's also a giant Chinese e-commerce company, one of the big three. So Naspers was an early investor in that, but Naspers is also an investor in dozens of other e-commerce companies and an early investor in another company you may not have heard of called Flipkart. Flipkart, which is the Alibaba of India, just raised another round of U.S. venture capital at a $15 billion valuation. That's up from $10 billion in the fourth quarter when Mark Zuckerberg and Tiger Global invested in the company. So Flipkart is a company that many people haven't heard of, but 12 months from now, 18 months from now, everybody will hear about Flipkart. It is a big deal, and it won't be quite as big as Alibaba, but it'll still be a big deal, and you guys will certainly be covering it.
All right, well, good luck with the ETF. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for watching The Street.